This is the Ohayo X3, and it just might beat your expectations. I have tested numerous cylindrical speakers, but most of them just don't have that full-bodied sound, but the X3 is different, and I think it's because it's actually larger than it appears. There are not that many miracles when it comes to Bluetooth speakers. You could really hear the difference when the speaker contains a large driver, like the X3 does, and it's accentuated by dual passive radiators. The Ohayo X3 is not a perfect device. It sounds really good up to about 50% volume. After that, you do notice distortion on the deep bass. You will hear harsh notes on the high frequencies. In general, you just notice the artifacts for compressed music. And just about all the music you listen to is compressed. But I don't want to talk you out of the speaker. It's got 40 watts. If you only bring it up to 50% volume, it is still going to be very loud. The X3 suffers from the same poor button design as just about every other speaker on the market. It is black on black, basically unlabeled, basically unusable buttons unless you have perfect lighting. Why don't they put ink on these buttons? Make it easy on your customer. Beneath this rubber plug, we have a 3.5mm auxiliary input port, a TF card slot, U-drive port, and the USB-C charging port. This may be the only time in my history of reviewing speakers that I have not been able to get a 3.5mm auxiliary input to work. I don't know what the problem is. You may have noticed water on this rubber plug, and that's because the X3 claims to be IPX7 certified, and whenever a speaker claims that, I test it. I had this speaker completely submerged in water for over 30 minutes and pulled it out. It worked just fine. Never had a problem with it for even a second. The X3 comes standard with a rubber lanyard. It is easily removable in a non-destructive manner, but I recommend that you leave it on because I think it sounds best if you suspend it from the lanyard rather than setting it on a surface, because the passive radiators are firing on both ends, and if you have it sitting on a surface, then this one really isn't doing much. The RGB lighting system has several colors, and it is reactive to the music. However, it comes across somewhat erratically. It looks like flashing to me. I am on the fence whether I actually like it or not. But if you don't like it, you can turn the RGB lighting system off completely by holding the plus and the minus keys down until the lighting system turns off. The X3 has a 6600 milliamp hour battery. You can charge it in about 4 hours. And if you follow my recommendations of listening at 50% volume or less, you should get at least 8 hours of playback on it. I was not able to test this, but the Ohayo X3 does support TWS mode. That's true wireless stereo. If you have two of these speakers, you can wirelessly connect them for a stereo experience at double the power. Do I recommend the Ohayo X3? 3 things. Number 1, the 3.5mm auxiliary input port. It's got to work or I can't give it 5 stars. But maybe that's a feature you don't care about. Secondly, the hands-free calling option. Now, granted, I tested this after having done my waterproof testing, so maybe something's going on that I just don't know about. But the person I called said that I sounded like I was being buried alive. That doesn't sound good to me. But maybe that's a feature you don't care about. Third, if you are able to follow my advice and keep this speaker at 50% volume or less, then it sounds really good. So if you can do that, I'm going to give this a 4 star. If you can't do that, if you want to listen to this at maximum volume no matter what, I'm going to give it 3 stars just because it sounds okay, but not great at max volume. But I'm going to assume you're following my advice. I'm going to give this a 4-star rating. Thanks for stopping by.